Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Super Lunch Bros Podcast, episode number 148. I am Brendan. UFC 276, Adesanya versus Cannonier. Really good fights on this card, capped with not necessarily the most exciting fight, okay? I understand that. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Numero tres. We're going to go Alex Pereira versus Sean Strickland, Robbie Lawler, Brian Barberena, and Sean O'Malley versus Pedro Munoz, and that will be the main card because that is what we're going over here. So before we get started, if you like MMA, if you like podcasts about MMA, if you like the UFC, I do at least 2 to 3 episodes every single week covering different MMA organizations, especially the UFC, the PFL, and Bellator. So if you like those things, if you like hearing breakdowns of fights and, hearing opinions about where it's going, maybe a little bit of MMA news, maybe I'll do some of that. Let me know. And also subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And if you like the video, click the like button. Let's get started. All right. Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. So Israel Adesanya getting the win here, maintaining his status as the UFC middleweight champion. I think this is his 6th title defense, if I'm not crazy here. So let's count them. Oh, no, that's not real. 6th title defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 wins, 6 title wins, 5th title defense. Okay. Obviously fighting his lone loss in the UFC coming via light heavyweight and Jan Blachowicz. So that one really doesn't count. All right, let's break it down round by round here. But really, it was just Israel Adesanya doing Izzy things, controlling the fight, having the fight to pretty much take place exactly where he wanted. He was never really in any real danger. I mean, he hasn't looked threatened since, oh, man. When's the last time he looked like he was in danger? The Kelvin Gastelum fight, I guess. In his last fight against Whitaker, though he was never in danger, it was, I would argue, a much closer fight. And you could argue that Whitaker did win that one. I didn't see it that way. If I remember correctly, I had Adesanya winning that one. But it wasn't, guys, this was not the most exciting fight. Starting out the fight, Jared Cannonier was landing some good shots to the body. He was landing some good kicks to the body, some good punches to the body, leg kicks from him as well. He was landing some heavy leg kicks. Israel was poking and retreating, playing it smart most of the round. And he had, as far as the strike count goes, it was really close, 22-18 in favor of Israel Adesanya. And that's kind of the story of this whole fight, really. Round by round. It was just Izzy just doing enough to win each round. Never really blowing him out. Never really putting it on him to try and finish the fight. It was waiting for Cannonier to make a mistake, capitalizing on it, and then going back to a more neutral position. And in the first round, Adesanya was kind of backed up a little bit more, and Cannonier was more forward. And in the second round, he reversed it a little, so Adesanya started moving forward and putting the attack on Cannonier positionally, right? So in the octagon, he was walking forward, walking him down, trying to outstrike him, that kind of stuff. He wasn't just waiting for the fight to come to him. He was making... So here's how I would describe it. So when you have a counter striker, generally speaking, you would think that they would fight more off of the back foot, right? And that is generally true. So a counter striker, for those of you guys who don't know what that means, it is a person who waits, right, for their opponent to make the first move, then they counter. That's where the counter striking comes in, right? I know that sounds stupid to those of you guys who understand that or just got it from context clues. I totally understand that sounds dumb, but I'm setting that up because generally speaking, the idea in your head is I wait. So if I'm the counter striker, I'm waiting for you to strike at me. I dodge out of the way. I get my reads as the fight goes on, right? And get information about how you strike, and I can kind of sense like, oh, hey, he's got his foot position here. Therefore, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to go for a jab straight. He's done this combo 10 times. He's going to do it an 11th time. I'm going to get ready for it, and I'm going to counter it with my combination or my big shot, my takedown. But Israel Adesanya is a very good tactician. And one of the things that he's excellent at, as well as everybody at City Kickboxing, as this is touted by enough people that I think it's kind of silly and cliche almost that I'm saying it, but they're feints, right? Faking the attack, throwing out a fake jab, feinting feints. Like they throw out like they're going to strike. They use a lot of feints. And what Israel will do while he's moving forward, being the positional aggressor, is throw feints, right? Never intending to throw, but what he's doing is trying to bait out Cannonier's strikes so that he can counter them. It's one of the things that Jan Blachowicz did not do. Adesanya was feinting like crazy. He was faking shots, and Blachowicz was like, nah, I'm good. Same thing that Blachowicz did to get the belt in the first place. Poop. I know who he fought. It doesn't matter, but anyway, there's a level to it that's above just standing there and waiting for your opponent to throw a strike and then you counter them. And that's what he did in the second round, and then he had moments through the rest of the fight that he was doing that. Some other notes, Izzy finally got called for an eye poke, which he did a couple times. Cannonier was complaining about. Izzy pretty much, he landed the better shots in the second round. He landed more of them, 28-19 in favor of Adesanya, easily up 2-0. This third round was Cannonier's best round up to this point, right? So Cannonier landed some good strikes at distance. He appeared to land more. I think, let's look at total strikes here. Round 3. Cannonier landed more total strikes, and they were even on significant strikes, but positional dominance went to Cannonier. He did have some clinch control, and you want to talk about damage, I would give it to Cannonier in that round anyway, with some of those big leg kicks that he landed. So he was, in my opinion, he won that third round. So nothing Adesanya did put him so far out in front of Cannonier that a little bit of grappling wasn't going to overtake, right? So, Adesanya didn't do so much damage with his 17 strikes that Cannonier's 17 strikes were invalidated, right? So, even if you had damage even, Cannonier wins that round because of positional dominance and the clinch work. And that's how that works. So that's round 3. Round 4, it was... it had some of the same positions as the third round. The problem was that Izzy did such a good job in the beginning half of that fourth round, landing more shots. And it plays out here in the total strikes, 24-16 in favor of Adesanya. And that's kind of what made the difference in this fourth round, because had Cannonier been able to corral Adesanya a little bit earlier in this fourth round, he might have been able to take this round as well, because from the second half of this round, I would give it to Cannonier. Right, I just think the damage done in the first half of by Adesanya gave him that round. So this fight is not a blowout. I wrote it a bunch of times. This fight is not a blowout. It was not. No round was a blowout. No round was like, oh my God, I can't believe Cannonier's even still in there. Like he doesn't belong in there with him. Cannonier stayed in there, and it was just. I'll give my take on that at the end of this, but it was just enough from Adesanya. Just enough in every round, just enough to win each round. Rightfully so, and smartly, I would say. And then in the last round here, Jared did damage in the last round and controlled the clinch, but the problem was, Izzy he outlanded him again, and I think even if the damage was even, the things that Izzy was doing was more impressive. He was more aggressive in this last round with his striking, throwing 54 as opposed to Cannonier's 26. So Cannonier landed 20 of 26, but I've talked about this before. Accuracy means nothing in terms of winning a fight, okay, as far on the scorecards. In fact, being less accurate and landing the same amount of strikes, it means you threw more punches, therefore you are the aggressor. And that's what Adesanya did. 25-20 in favor of him in significant strikes, and he threw a shitload more. As far as I'm concerned, he was the aggressor, even if he wasn't the positional aggressor like Cannonier was, taking the clinch control in this fifth round again. What can you say about Adesanya? So, a couple takeaways for me. Also, future fights. We'll talk about it later, but on this card, this is the same card. Alex Pereira fought Sean Strickland, and Alex Pereira set himself up for a title shot, and Izzy called him out afterwards. Their history, Alex knocked Israel Adesanya out in kickboxing. It's his only knockout loss ever, and it was really bad, and Pereira's a very good striker and kickboxer and blah, blah, blah. All those things, and I'm not as excited for it as maybe I should be. Maybe I will be as they build it up, but I feel like Alex hasn't shown anything in MMA to me in this organization that he's knocked some people out, but his last couple, Bruno Silva and Sean Strickland, are his good wins, and Izzy has been walking through and dismantling the best of the best in this division for so long that I kind of want to see him versus more established talent, right? Both guys. I enjoy watching Israel Adesanya fight. I said this wasn't the most exciting fight, but I enjoy the tactician aspect of this. Not every one of these needs to be a bloodbath. Not every one of these needs to be two guys getting brain damage, throwing CTE at each other, right? This is a way to win, and this is what I was going to say. So Israel Adesanya's legacy is quickly becoming closer, fight over fight, to GSP's legacy. He's going to be the guy who just does enough to win every time he goes out there, not taking chances, not doing anything crazy, not doing anything extreme, not going for the finishes, not having the highlight reel finishes like he did earlier in his career. And it's closer to what GSP did than what Anderson Silva did. Obviously, because of the weight class and their height and their striking style and all that other crap, he's always compared to Anderson Silva, and he did fight Anderson Silva, right? So there's all those comparisons that can be made to Silva. And yes, Silva had some stinkers as well. Wasn't always the most exciting fighter. That being said, Silva was often putting himself in less than advantageous positions, famously putting himself against the cage, telling the guy to come on against, I think that was Stephan Bonner, putting his hands down constantly, staying in danger, just moving his head out of the way, just doing incredibly dangerous things in the octagon that anybody in their right mind would tell you not to do because it's stupid. And, eventually he got caught for it. Chris Weidman caught him when he was goofing. And that's how Chris Weidman became the champion. So, what can you say? Here's my comparison and why I'm making this comparison. So, if you look at GSP's early career, Rush, where he got that nickname, George Rush St. Pierre. He was running through people. He was not necessarily a marauder. He didn't fight stupid, but he was very aggressive. His takedowns, the way he was finishing people, he just ran through people. The submissions, dude, he just did not stop. He wanted that belt bad, and he was going to dismantle and destroy everyone in front of him to get it. And then over time, he started to fight safer, right? Jabbing people to death. Going for takedowns and going for control, not getting finishes anymore. And if you've never heard me talk about this before, which is fine, it might sound like I'm disparaging both GSP and Israel Adesanya here. I'm not. I'm actually praising them. I'm praising Israel Adesanya, and I will praise GSP here in a second. I'm just comparing Izzy to what I think is more realistic for what is quickly playing out in his career compared to the people that normally compare him to Anderson Silva. But GSP, in my opinion, is the greatest MMA fighter of all time. He just is. We can have this argument. I think that there is an argument to be had for many fighters in MMA. And you can go generationally and all those things, but I think historically, with all the context and everything that you know about MMA, or that we know about MMA, from the start of it, the inception of modern MMA, to the modern era, to the money era, all this stuff, GSP is the greatest of all time. He is. And now you should have some context from when I'm comparing Israel Adesanya to GSP, what I think about Israel Adesanya, right? I don't think he's a bad fighter. I think he's fantastic. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his legacy intact. He does not fight like Anderson Silva. Yes, he's an amazing striker, and he has moments of flash and bravado, and he's great on the mic. Well, Silva wasn't, but he's also very good on the mic. That's okay. But his career and his wins and his fights are quickly becoming more and more like GSP, who I think is the greatest of all time currently. So that should tell you what I think about him and what I should think about what I think about his possible future and his potential. I think it was a great win for him. I don't think it was the most exciting fight. I'm not going to sit here and be an MMA snob and tell you, like, oh, you casuals just don't understand. You know, you got to pay attention to all the footwork and the feints. No. You like what you like. You don't like that stuff. I totally get it. I'm not going to say, yeah, my favorite fights in the UFC are not technical battles all the time. I enjoy them, but they're not always my favorites. I like slobber knockers too. I like all of this stuff. I like a lot of things about MMA. It's why it's my favorite sport. Israel Adesanya did an amazing job. I think Jared Cannonier, go from here, where does he go? Oof, let's pull this back up here. Oh, man. What can we say, man? Because Robert Whittaker, he already lost to Whittaker. Whittaker's supposed to fight Vettori, right? So Cannonier can't fight him. Cannonier could fight Strickland. You know, he already beat Brunson. Cannonier could fight Costa. I think did he fight Hermanson already? Darren Till. Uriah Hall just lost. He beat Gastelum. Tavares just lost. Chris Weidman's still ranked for some reason. Muniz won, so he could move in there. Maybe that's a good one. I think that's a bit of a jump down for Cannonier, but that's a possibility. Honestly, with Cannonier being up there in age, you know, not the youngest fighter in this roster, maybe he takes like 6 months, lets the division kind of settle down, see if we get any upcoming guys, and then he can take someone. Maybe, you know, a fight falls out and he could take someone on. So I don't see a good matchup for him immediately. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I could be off my rocker. I could be wrong. You tell me. Maybe there's something super obvious I'm just not seeing. Alexander Volkanovski defeats Max Holloway for the third time officially. I would say that he has 2 wins versus Max Holloway, and this officially puts the trilogy to bed, in my opinion. Volkanovski is just on another level. And it's a bad matchup for Holloway, right? I think, we'll talk about this in Volkanovski's call out after this, but I think Holloway is a bad matchup for a lot of people in this division, but not for Volkanovski. We all know what's Max Holloway's biggest asset? Volume and cardio, right? Volume and cardio. Built his offense and his game plan, his game style is to dismantle you through exhaustion and overwhelm you with volume, right? And like, he wants to dismantle your game plan by making you tired so you can't execute it. And then he's going to overwhelm you with just straight volume. And he just couldn't do that against Volkanovski. I mean, you want to look at these rounds. They weren't, again, just like the main event, none of them were real blowouts, although the last round was as close to a blowout as you can get. I didn't give a single round to Max Holloway. Not a single round. And, you know, these guys are like, they are so well matched. They read and make changes on the fly to what the other fighter is presenting. You know, Volkanovski was the first one to kind of find his distance in that first round with his hands, because initially they were just exchanging kicks, and Volkanovski kind of did a good job in that first round, just separating himself. You know, and you can see it in the offense here, 28-24 in favor of Volkanovski. In fact, the total punches, or the total attempted, were 70-56 in favor of Volkanovski. So even his offense was more active. And his was landing more up top than Holloway's was. Let's see here. You want to look at where the strikes landed. So, yeah, the leg kicks. Yeah, Volkanovski landed 18 to the head. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he started landing more and got that comfortable there first and kind of put himself out in front. The second round is where I think he cut. Yeah, there's a big cut that opened up on the inside of Mac's left eye right over here. Super, super bad. Yeah, this cut was freaking nasty, man. Yeah, the cut was so bad. And luckily it got the bleeding got stopped by the cut man. He did a great job, so that was impressive. But there was, just not a moment. There wasn't a moment in this fight where Holloway looked like he was in control. He didn't look comfortable out there. It looked like he was just off, and that's kind of the story of this whole fight. Volkanovski just was able to implement his game plan, and Holloway wasn't able to implement his. 37-27 in favor of Volkanovski, then 40-26, 44-31, and 50-19. All Volkanovski. Right? He's just on another level. I think Max Holloway and him are on another level in this division because they've cleared everybody else out. You got Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez who have to fight each other soon. And if Rodriguez can get that win, maybe he gets... So we'll talk about that in a second. This was just a near-perfect performance by Volkanovski, in my opinion. Almost perfect. He took a few shots, but nothing crazy. He never got rocked or anything like that. Just almost perfect. And then, after the fight is over, Rogan sets him up in the post-fight interview and asks him, like, hey, you've cleared out the division. Has he, though? Hold on. We'll talk about that in a second. You cleared out the division, and you've talked about moving up to lightweight. Is that what you want to do? And that's what he says. Volkanovski says, I want to go up to lightweight, take on Oliveira or Makhachev, or whoever ends up having the title up there at that time, and he wants to go take him on. Boy, oh boy, this sucks. Because we finally have put to bed the Max Holloway questions, right? Everybody was always questioning. Did Holloway, did he deserve that second win? Should he have been the champ? Regardless of that outcome, Volkanovski put a stamp on this trilogy, and he said, hey, no, this is me. This is my win, my division, blah, blah, blah. He already beat Brian Ortega. He has a win over Chan Sung Jung. Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez are fighting, so if Ortega wins that fight against Rodriguez, obviously they're not going to just give Ortega a title shot because he's lost to Holloway and Volkanovski. Josh Emmett just had a huge win versus Cater. Arnold Allen just had a giant win. Who did he just beat? I know this. Hooker. And Calvin Cater. So everybody's kind of gone back and forth in this division against each other, and nobody's a couple people put together a decent run, and one of them being Josh Emmett. Yair Rodriguez has a loss to Holloway. Josh Emmett has not fought Holloway. Has not fought Volkanovski either. I said it a couple weeks ago after the Emmett fight. I think Emmett is a bad matchup for Volkanovski. Because he has cardio as well. He has wrestling. He hits hard. And he walks forward. Does it mean Emmett's going to get the win? Not necessarily. I think Emmett presents more challenges to Volkanovski than Holloway does. Because Holloway overwhelms everybody else in this division. Because nobody else can keep up with him. They just can't. Right? Eventually, he breaks you down, and you just can't keep up with him anymore, and he rips you apart. And that might continue to happen. Or he might have to go up to lightweight to kind of find some new matchups, which is kind of where I want Holloway to go. Take some time off, put some weight on, and then go to lightweight and see how he handles things. I know he's got that loss to Dustin Poirier, but I want to see him in some fresh matchups, and I don't want to see him at featherweight, without the possibility of ever being champion again, because he's just not going to. He can't. As long as Volkanovski's the champion, Holloway's never going to get a title shot. And then even if he did, I don't think he'd ever beat him. So, in my opinion, what should happen is Josh Emmett should be getting the next title shot. that should be happening. They both him and Volkanovski fought recently. Emmett fighting a few weeks ago, Volkanovski fighting last night. So why not? Why can't we do this? Oh, because Volkanovski says he wants to go to 155 now. Come on. Why? Why are we doing this? Like this we're going to create a logjam here at featherweight when he just got over like what was really holding this division back, which was the question mark over the Holloway fights. And he just got rid of it, and now he's going to leave the division. It's going to create an interim belt and some bull crap, and then nobody's going to fight for the title, and then no one's going to believe anybody about their wins. Anyway, let's move on here. Alex Pereira versus Sean Strickland. This fight didn't last too long. This fight was weird. Sean Strickland kind of doing Strickland things, walking him down, walking forward, kind of taking a little bit of punishment, and then just took a left hook right to the jaw and went down, man. That was rough. Yeah, he got hit hard and kind of went out. And then he just, he stood back up immediately, and he was wobbly, and he was like, I don't know. And he said afterwards, he's like, I'm just going to be sad for a while about this. And, I know Strickland's weird, guys. I'm not defending his, what he says. I know he's a strange guy, and everybody talks about him being a serial killer. I get all that. It's unfortunate to see a person who's ranked number 4 taking on a guy who is not ranked at all, and he stepped up and he said, I'll fight him. And now, is he going to be rewarded for this? Probably not. I hope monetarily he's doing fine. I hope monetarily I know he doesn't live a lavish lifestyle, so hopefully he's getting paid well and he's doing fine. Now he can take on the likes of, I know Brunson was talked about retirement. Paulo Costa would be a weird fight versus Strickland. He's already beat Hermanson. Darren Till would be weird. Uriah Hall, we've seen that. Kelvin Gastelum be a weird fight. Any fight against Strickland is going to be weird. And, maybe he takes on Cannonier. Maybe that's the fight, because they both had losses. Maybe that's the fight to make here. Boost Cannonier back up if he gets the win, or it could put Strickland back in contention, getting him the win there. So maybe that's the fight to make. And then obviously I've already talked about it for Pereira, that we're just going to go right to the title shot, I guess. 3 wins and a title shot, which is, that's kind of how Izzy's thing went. So I get it. And, there's a storyline there, and it's right for the picking. So go for it. I just think that there's, I would have rather seen, I don't know, Vettori's got it, Sean Strickland's got it. Yeah, I guess the division kind of ate itself. And, no clear challenger emerged, so they're going to get a guy who wasn't officially ranked and get him in there. So we'll see. I bet you that's what's going to end up happening. We just got to see when it happens. I suspect in 6 months. Probably just the timeline. That's how it's going to work out. All right, Robbie Lawler taking on Brian Barberena. Barberena getting the KO here in the second round. First round was a real banger, wasn't it? Holy moly. Brian had some insane volume in that round. Robbie was blocking and dodging most of it. The commentary team was talking about how Brian was landing a lot of shots, which he did. 67-39 in favor of Barberena, but 171 attempted, right? So a lot of those missed. And I'm not saying hey, because I just mentioned earlier how volume can win you a fight. I'm not criticizing him for it. It's more the commentary team talking about how much he was landing. He was, but a lot of the times when they were saying he landed the shots, he didn't. Robbie was blocking him off the shoulders and rolling with them and moving out of the way. And he did a very good job in tight in the defense in that first round. Lawler actually landed the biggest shots. It was hard to know if they actually did more damage than... It was hard to know if they did more damage than cumulatively than Barberena's. He only landed 39 to Barberena's 67, but they were a lot harder on average than Barberena. So, I probably gave it to Barberena because Brian was never really visually rocked. And if he ever got damaged real bad, he didn't show it. So his poker face and volume won that round for sure for me. And then the second round, Lawler landed a jab that rocked Barberena twice, and he, cut him up pretty bad, and he was beating him up. And then Barberena landed a big right hand, and then he just kept, Barberena just ate those punches for dinner. She just kept fucking walking through them, moving forward, and landed on Lawler, and then overwhelmed him with volume and got the TKO finish. So good for him, good for Barberena. He's still here. He's not going anywhere. And I know Lawler didn't officially retire, but it kind of feels like that might be the end of Lawler's competitive career in the UFC. Maybe we'll put on some fun fights against people like this, but I don't know if he's ever going to be competitive again. All right, and then Pedro Munoz versus Sean O'Malley. No contest. No contest. So Munoz was going after, it was due to an eye poke. Munoz was going after legs early, and knowing that Sean has issues with his knees and his ankles, and that was clearly a big part of the game plan going in here for Pedro. Munoz landed more leg kicks, and I felt like he landed more shots overall. He did, and his leg kicks were heavy, 19 leg kicks. And he didn't land. Actually, he landed 0 up top, but all of his strikes were leg kicks. Yeah, so that's what I wrote down. I was like, Munoz landed more leg kicks, and that was all that mattered in this round. So O'Malley checked a ton of them, but that doesn't matter because he still scored with that damage. So Munoz ends up getting that first round, and then the second round here again, dude. I didn't realize it. Munoz didn't land a single shot to the body or the head of O'Malley. Holy crap. Only leg shots. Wow. Unbelievable. That's crazy. All right, well, there it is. But anyway, he got poked in the right eye, and it was a light poke, but it doesn't matter. You can scratch a cornea, and you can get to that moment where you can't open your eye back up, and this happened before. It happened to Jeremy Stevens. It happens. So the fight got called off. No contest, no scoring here because it didn't go far enough in there, and it was unintentional. Therefore, it's not a DQ. Felt like Munoz. Nope, I'm not gonna make quality judgments. There's no reason to. I don't care. They could just move on for this. I don't think they need to run it back. There's no reason to. And that's how we opened up the card. So that is the main card. All right. If you're looking for the prelims, that's on the next video. I will cover all of them. There were a shitload, so I will cover them in the next video. If you're looking for the PFL, that is in the last video, numbers-wise. I appreciate y'all for stopping by, spending time here. It means a lot to me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you know when my next video is coming out, because I do this all the time. Like I said, 2 or 3 videos every single week covering MMA, UFC, Bellator, and PFL. So I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. And if you did like the video, click the like button. If this is the only video you're watching this week, fantastic. I'm glad you stopped over here and watched this. It means a lot to me. I love you guys. I really do. It means a lot to me. I hope everybody has an amazing week and enjoy the 4th of July.